Did you?
I never go down the beach long enough to fit in. Yeah, beach umbrella.
Sun safe though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Actually, you're right, it's a statement.
I would love to see you install this
Yeah.
set umbrella. I can just see you going down Collaroy Beach and it's the wind gets behind us.
I like the beach, but I go down, I swim,
Yeah.
and I get off the beach.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's no need for me to have a beach umbrella.
That was a gift for Trish.
Absolutely.
Matty, except that day when you fell asleep down the beach. When you took your water bottle down?
Let's not talk about that day. That was a personal loss. Water?
He was very dehydrated.
Yeah.
That was only due to
I went down the beach, had a couple of drinks, and basically woke up 3 hours later with first-degree burns. Anyway, simpler time. Pre-COVID.
Hey, Brendan, welcome to the couch.
Thank you so much.
First question about your acting career is, I guess, Game of Thrones. This is a huge one that you were a part of.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about being involved in that show.
Yeah, it was pretty thrilling and pretty surreal, you know. The show was just so enormous when I came in, and then I came in and it ended. I won't put the two together. You know, I was doing a play on the West End in London, and I got an audition for Harag, and somehow got it, and the next thing I know I'm in Belfast, and then in Bilbao in Spain, and got to know all the guys, and you know, it was surreal because you go down for your first day and you're like, well, there's Jon Snow, you know, and you think, how am I from Cronulla? How am I in Game of Thrones? But you put that big grey suit on, and then they put a big scar on your face, cover your mud, and you're like, yeah, I'm in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You know,
Was it wet and cold?
yeah, it was, yeah. And you're getting, hit with all that kind of stuff before action. But we're in this beautiful, secluded beach in Bilbao, and, hundreds of miles from civilization, because they can't have anyone take a photo of stuff because that ends up on the internet, ruins the plot.
Yeah.
And some guys had come across on a kayak and hidden behind a cow and stuff to take a photo. So where everyone was a bit disappointed in a lot of ways, but they were, they're so famous, that cast, because that show, out front of the hotel, we had a brass band playing the theme song 24 hours.
That would have driven you nuts.
Yeah, it was just ba 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 ba, and trying to pull your hair out when you're going out of the hotel, everybody screaming, and it was like being in the Beatles. Well, for me, they thought I was the security guard, because I hadn't been on screen yet.
Yeah.
But they were a lovely group of actors, like a real family, because they kind of all went through that explosion together. So
Rise to fame.
yeah, I mean, I was only in a few scenes, but I got to do that great fight on the beach with Alfie Allen, and we kind of trained for that for 3 or 4 months, for what's probably 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah.
So you're a celebrity who likes rugby league, aren't you? So you're going to join this eclectic class of other celebrities.
Yes,
in
I am.
Let's have a look. Now, this is Thor and his gang. This is all the... that was all this...
Simon Baker.
He's dropped the Denny, hasn't he? So Simon... Our man, Huey Jackman.
Yeah.
Big Manly fan. Molly, he's
yes.
number one supporter down there.
Obsessed.
And the Snoop Dogg, the Snizzle.
Massive
the
Chooks
Snizzle
fan.
Bizzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is sick for the bunnies.
Yeah. No, it's nice to be in that club.
You'll be on that club now.
I've just made it officially.
Just officially.
Is here where you get...
Oh, 100%.
This is where you get certified.
Tom Cruise was in that club. You've taken his spot.
Oh, fantastic.
Congratulations.
Brett fan, huh?
He was a Wigan fan.
Was he?
Yeah. Bit of fun fact.
Ryan Giggs.
Huh?
Ben Mendelsohn, one of Australia's best actors, massive Storm fan.
Is he?
Yeah,
He's
he's
kicking some
Yeah,
goals, isn't he?
yeah, he's going great. Wonderful actor.
Storm.
Oh, well, come on, mate.
Yeah.
Can't win.
But I think it's me. I don't know who else is a
Johnny
Sharks
Graham
fan.
likes,
Elmer Thurston.
Is it Roosters fan, is he?
Michael Clark. Who's Michael Clark?
Tigers, I think.
Tigers, yeah.
He wouldn't be doing so well at the moment.
No. It's out after this
I think
afternoon.
they're cloning him.
A nice spotted in the paper this afternoon. An ad that has featured in a couple of pubs around Sydney.
Yes, welcome back to the show. Need to know basis with Brendan. Mate, passionate rugby league man. Why?
Oh, I started playing when I was 4 in Cronulla. I played for De La Salle, and it was kind of what you did in Carriambar and Cronulla, and so they threw me a ball, and I kind of didn't know any different because, Shark Park was the mecca, it was the place, and everybody talked footy, and Eddinghausen was at our school and stuff like that, so I just kind of grew up playing it and loving it, and then your sister's dating one of the players and all sorts of things like that, and and just been a Sharks fan since I can remember. And I've tried to get away from the Sharks, but it's just like an incurable disease. Everyone I'm overseas, I'm watching it in the morning. And
Were you in Australia when they won the comp?
well, it was 2016 when I was doing Game of Thrones, when I was doing the Game of Thrones, and I had my first makeup call on Game of Thrones the day after the grand final, and Mum was like, I hadn't had any sleep, and she's like, "Oh, this is a big opportunity." And I've been running around Notting Hill singing Up Cronulla for about 16 hours with Damien Irvine, the ex-chairman.
Yep.
I was going absolutely bananas, and she's like, "You're going to ruin this opportunity." Went to Belfast with just my passport, looking red and haggard, and I walked in, and the makeup artist is like, "Just come like that, exactly like that. You look like you've been at sea for 200 years."
That's good.
But no, when they started winning and they won that 15 in a row, people were saying, "You're going to come back," and I thought, well, I don't want to jinx it, because clearly it was about me. I was like, and so I thought, I'm going to stay in London. But on the grand final, I had every Australian I could find was in my living room at 8 a.m. and I remember at half time it was just too hard to watch. I had to go outside and kick the ball with a mate, and I remember just yelling at the television going, "I just need a massive bloke to go through the middle and score. Just one massive bloke will break him." And then Fafita, did exactly that. And then right at the end, the camera comes around to Michael Ennis, and he's like, "Fafita! Fafita! Henry Fafita! Fafita! Mr. Fafita! Fafita!" And so the next 10 hours all over Notting Hill, I was just with a pint, "Fafita! Fafita! Henry Fafita!" Which I've been doing for 5 years since. But I would say it was the greatest period of my life. The greatest kind of 2 weeks. I went from the Cronulla Sharks winning the grand final, and I'm about to cry thinking about it. My mum was in the room, and we both fell off our chairs, just started hugging. Damien Irvine came over, and it was just extraordinary. I'm going to go home and watch it again tonight, actually.
Can I ask, how did you get into acting?
What's that?
How did you get into acting?
I just went into a room, went for fire. But no, I was 5 years old, and my sister was dancing. She ended up in the pop group Girlfriend, and I was in the waiting room when I was like 6 or 8, and there was all these kids that looked like me, blonde hair, blue eyes, and they were waiting to go into this room, and suddenly a bloke said, "Come in," and I went in. It was a cornflakes commercial, and then I said the line, "This is a great client." He comes out and says to my mum, he can smile while he's eating. That's very helpful in food commercials. He's got a good head. Who's his agent? And then I started doing ads, and then started getting the odd afternoon show and stuff like that. But as far as I can remember, and Mum says this, I was writing poems, and I was inflicting little shows on Mum and Nan from when I was 10 years old, and we'd have red faces. The Hey Saturday red faces in the house, and I'd get gonged off, and then the shows got better. I was 12 or 13, but I was always going to do it. I'm lucky in that way. I've always known what I want to do.
Now the book Plum.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write? And who's it based off? Because it's rugby league based. Did you have a person in mind?
Yeah, I did. It's his name's Peter the Plum Lum. Peter Lum. His footy name's the Plum, and he's a 49-year-old ex-player, and he works at the airport dragging the planes out, and he's got a girlfriend, an ex-wife, and his son Gavin, who's 16, is starting to do really well. He's probably going to follow his footsteps, but then one day at the airport he has an episode and nearly drags a plane into another plane, finds out he's got a brain injury from all the concussions, and he starts developing a passion for poetry inadvertently, and starts having some interest in poetry and meeting some misfits, and goes about repairing his relationships. And it's kind of a love letter rugby league, but kind of about a bloke having to change his life, and with his three mates, and a lot about Australian mateship. But I definitely imagine Gavin Miller when I was writing it, one of those kind of intelligent, gentle, tough guys. And Peter the Plum Lum, he's a really private bloke, probably the toughest bloke in the bar, toughest bloke, on the field, but he's a big, gentle-hearted, quite private, anonymous guy. So I just kind of send Peter the Plum Lum out on a journey of self-discovery in his late 40s. Yeah.
You touched on a bit of social media and the impacts social media has.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, he starts behaving in some quite wild ways, and as a result of the news, and drinking a lot and acting out and getting into scuffles, and then, of course, the media are jumping on what's going on with this bloke in restaurants, explosive things, and it's kind of about that building and how he because he didn't go up to the commentary box, he didn't go into media and everything, he wasn't as dashingly handsome as you guys, yeah, and that's just another plot line that starts to build on him, but that also pressures Peter the Plum into kind of having to tell the truth and express himself.
Did you do how did you do your research? Did you get ex-players? Did you ask around, or is it?
Yeah, I did. I asked a lot of ex-players, and I guess having been working in the media of rugby league for a while, I've got a lot of kind of mates in the game and stuff that I could kind of call upon, but Matty Johns' brother Andrew was really open with the concussion and seizure stuff, and he's actually got a quote inside the book, and he was really, really open and amazing, and that was helpful. And I got Dr. Chris Levi, who's an expert in neuroscience, to kind of help me with that side of things, so I know what I'm talking about.
Do you ring up on private numbers?
It's a private number. We meet on a corner.
That's why I didn't answer. That's why I didn't.
No, he's been amazing, and I think what the book kind of does in that way is shows a different side to rugby league players, because when I was working here at Fox and on the league lounge with Brandy and stuff, I think 11 years ago, I met 100 players, and I was amazed at these kind of gentle, interesting, lovely guys that just love talking and kicking the footy. And I kind of wanted to show that different side of the rugby league culture.
Is that why you didn't ring us?
You.
I think you blocked me, or I don't know what it was.
It's private number. Don't answer it.
Brent, Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Working with James Cameron. It could end up being one of the biggest movies of all time, and you're involved. I mean, it must feel pretty surreal.
Yeah, it definitely did. I'm playing Captain Scoresby, a pirate, in the next two movies. So I've been filming for 2.5 years. I've still got a bit to do in 2023 on the third movie, but shooting in Wellington in New Zealand.
Yep.
So he shoots all the motion capture stuff in LA, and then all the live action in New Zealand, because Peter Jackson has that whole setup.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, working with him and getting to know him, we have the same birthday, and yeah, he's a lovely, playful genius, and just, you pinch yourself a number of times, turn around and going, that's James Cameron, he made Terminator, like it's, Titanic, and every film that he makes seems to push filmmaking forward, and definitely on his sets you get that sense that you're challenging filmmaking, and, just a wild adventure.
We get to go to the Oscars?
I don't know, it depends how good I am, I don't know, I think what's most exciting about the film is hopefully next Christmas, the big cinemas, the big IMAXs and stuff will be open, and everyone can pour out into cinemas together, and you'll have this absolute sensorial delight in Avatar 2 that'll be ready for sensorial delight.
Still that one, mate.
Because we got to see only on the little split and stuff, but and you'd be covered in water and all that kind of stuff, and we get to kind of watch a little bit now and again and show you 20 minutes, and you're in for a treat. It's incredible.
Mate, congratulations.
And on the book as well. You'll be able to get the book Plum at bookstores or ordering online. After the show, we've got Big Lane Grab.